Monday, February 27, 2023. Would you all please rise and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, the first item on our agenda this evening is approval of the minutes of our February 9th, 2023 meeting. Is there a motion?
Can I make that motion?
Been moved by Mr. Sullivan and
Chairman,
seconded by Mr. Norman.
I'd like to amend the minutes just a little bit. At the end, they did talk about pickleball, and we discussed about if the folks over at, I think it's Blue Sky Drive, were inclined to put one at their site, maybe they could in kind, provide funding for one that might be off-site. That didn't get included in the minutes, so I'd like to see that be documented.
Okay, so the minutes as amended by Mr. Gaffney's comments this evening are on the motion, are on the floor for a motion.
I'll make that motion.
Okay.
Second.
Moved and seconded to approve the minutes as amended by Mr. Gaffney's comments tonight. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? And the chair votes aye. It's
Thank
5-0.
Do you want to?
Sure.
Okay, moving on, public participation. Is anyone here for public participation this evening on some item that is not otherwise on our agenda? Okay, seeing no one, we will move. Yes, yeah. Okay, so moving on now, we will move to the Director of Parks and Recreation's report. Director Regan.
Thank you. Everyone had a chance to review the report. Just quickly, we had graffiti up at Simons Park. Unfortunately, it hit a bunch of spots, and the treehouse being one of them. It was on the floor of the treehouse below the roof line. Our guys did a great job getting that sanded off. It was all over the pickleball table. Bill did do a report that I was going to read him, but since he's here, let him explain that. We were not able to catch a clear image on the camera of the person because it was around 9 o'clock at night is when they saw someone walking. No guarantee they were the person that did it, but it was around 9 o'clock that they saw a figure. The police worked with us on this. They are going to keep an eye in the area as well as what was written to see if there's any other areas in town that it pops up that they may be able to put the two together. So as we head towards spring, last week's weather was spring, we are getting requests for the fields, but we're still a ways away from getting out on the fields now that we're going to get some winter weather. We won't be able to get out there until they have a chance to dry out because we have to put equipment on them to work on them. But we are taking requests. Tricia in our office has been really good about communicating with the groups that are looking for field space and keeping them in the order in which they were submitted. We have received a basic template from the high school, and we'll work on that, paring that down and getting to what they will really need. We are currently working on finalizing our spring brochure, and we hope to be announcing when putting it online and then announcing when it'll be, when registration will be shortly. At this time, we don't have a firm date, but we will announce all of that via social media. You may see something later this week. Everyone received a year in review. So this is something that was started last year. And it's really, it's designed to be a snapshot of what the department did for the last year. Our numbers and programs, our efforts across the board, maintenance programs, and just to tell our story a little bit better. So you can see the growth of the department, and then the changes within the department are all highlighted in there. So we're excited to be able to share that information again this year. Emma Jones has really been the person that has done the layouts for us, getting her the information, and she puts it into, a very easy-to-read and understand format. So, again, if you guys have any questions on that, it was too large to email, and I think it's because of all the graphics and the pictures in there. If you do have questions, I'd be happy to answer them once you have a chance to look through. Another item, we have been approached or asked by the Board of Health about participating in a mental health first aid training. They have an opportunity to put volunteers through that, and what it does is it teaches participants how to identify, understand, and respond to signs of mental illness and substance use disorders. Just like CPR training helps those without medical training assist an individual experiencing a heart attack. Mental health first aid prepares participants to offer initial support until someone can get there that is more trained. We have a couple staff members that will be participating on March 7th, and it's an all-day training, free to us, and there is some work that they have to do prior to that, a couple hours of work that they have to do prior to that. So that is my information and program information up until we get to new business.
Very good. Any questions for Director Egan on his report so far?
Just one.
Okay. I just want to say that the annual report is excellent. David?
Brendan, can we put a motion light on the treehouse around it? Like if the light comes on?
Yeah.
But, I mean, I have one in my store and it works unbelievable.
Yep.
Like it just,
We
it's
have,
just motion,
yeah, I'm just gonna,
scare people
do
away or
we
something.
have one on the, where that walkway goes down towards the, the shed down at the bottom where the light, stuff, there's not one. We can look at possibly adding one to a pole there. I will, see if the town's electrician can,
You know, that
put
might
one
be
on there.
something to scare these people away, you know what I mean?
yeah,
Pops on, they can,
okay.
If, just
Kevin?
through the chair, we just don't want it to shine on the houses.
yeah, I don't think
Yeah.
it will. I
Yeah.
don't think it will.
Yeah,
That's
I
up high
have them
enough.
angle it,
Yeah.
straight down, onto the ramping to the treehouse,
Yeah, and the
something in
motion
that
would
general
only be
area.
like a minute. You can set it for a minute and then it shuts right off.
Mm-hmm.
But it's something to startle somebody, if they're up there
Yeah.
late at night after we shut the lights off or something.
Are there any lights, Brendan, along the ramp that leads up to?
There are
treehouse
not
itself?
currently. We did talk about some soft solar lights to go up there, but in the future, as a future
Yeah.
addition to the treehouse. But, if we can get some kind of security light that, is motion activated, and we can set it to be 30 seconds or a minute, whatever it is, and that it's directed down towards the treehouse, not only will it light up, but, the cameras will pick it up.
Because they have security cameras now that just screw into a regular light fixture. They're motion activated, they turn and they move. And if we had one of those last week, we'd probably know who did it,
Yeah.
There are better ones out there.
I can look into some options, both with the town's electrician and see what they think for as far as security lighting, but also the company that installed the camera. It's one that the town does business with. I think they do the cameras at the schools, and we have them at Simon's on the front of the building, in the grandstand, those areas. So I can see if they have something that has a light component to it as well.
Yeah, we were fortunate we were able to remove it, the graffiti, very fortunate.
Yes. So I'll look at that.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank
That's
you.
all.
Okay, our Assistant Director is not here this evening. Is there anything that you wanted to add, Brendan, on her report?
Nope, I had included it in here. There's nothing that she had in, I know Bill had got me his report and I could add it, but since he was here to talk about or discuss backup any questions on backup for,
Shall we
Um,
wait until we get to the backup, or did you want to give a report now,
is
Bill?
there anything you wanted to add?
You want to wait?
I can wait.
It's up to you. Okay, we're going to wait. We'll wait for Bill's report once we get into the backup on the capital warrant articles. Next item on our agenda is the chairman's report. I have no specific report this evening. Are there any subcommittee reports? Seeing none, we will move along to new business, FY '24 capital request discussion and vote. Director Egan.
Okay, thank you. So, we've been working on these items for quite a while and paring them down and getting, you know, all of our backup, and things changed as we went through, figuring out, you know, all of the specs for the equipment. And we have a final list that we would like to present tonight. They're all items that we've discussed. Some of them may be able to come off, but I wanted, the first one, I'm sorry, there's one on here for the accessible van. We may be able to pull that and not ask for it if there's a way that we can, you know, find some funding at the end of the fiscal year, that if there's a surplus anywhere, that the town is willing to put towards it, and we would get that commitment probably before town meeting. But I want to have it on here anyways, and we can discuss that when we get to it. So I'm just going to go in order of what I have on the list. The first item is to replace R2, which is a Ford F-350 with a new Ford F-550 dump truck with a plow. This article is before us at $90,000. The current truck is at the end of its useful life. It has 115,000 miles on it. It is a 2011. Thank you. And not only is it have 115,000 miles on it, we're starting to have front end issues where it, you know, hit a bump, a pothole or something on the road where the front end jogs. Central Maintenance has looked at it. They've repaired some minor wiring issues, electrical issues in the cab as well. So by replacing it with a 550 with a dump body, that will allow us more flexibility in our daily responsibilities. Right now, we tie up the one dump truck we have for 6 to 8 weeks in the fall and another 4 weeks in the spring with the leaf box, doing post-winter cleanups and then fall, winter cleanups. And we do not have another dump truck that can handle the bigger stuff when we're out doing playground fiber, when we're adding infield mix. So we have to keep swapping the box on and off. It's a labor-intensive process to do. So it would come in handy. The truck is ready to be replaced anyways. So moving it to a dump truck rather than standard 350 pickup just allows us to be able to handle more work with it and not have to switch on and off a leaf box multiple times in a week to be able to shuffle responsibilities around on the vehicles.
Okay, I'd like to take these one at a time, Brenda,
Sure.
rather than wait for you to go through the whole list. So are there any questions on the first item that Brenda discussed, the new dump truck?
I always have questions.
Kevin?
Okay, so usually in the last 10 years, we get a letter from the maintenance department.
Central
saying-
Maintenance?
Central Maintenance saying that it needs to be replaced. Do we have a letter?
We have a new person at Central Maintenance. So I don't know of them preparing letters for anyone this year. So we can ask for one with the repairs in there and what they've spent on it. Trying to say this nicely, I'm not sure, all their records are, they have access to all the past records. So
Okay.
in the swap over, however that happened, so.
I think Tommy had written up something last year, actually on the same truck.
on the same vehicle.
Yeah.
It's just, it makes Ways and Means in every other, town meeting. They see the letter, and if the central maintenance is saying it's time to replace it, it just makes it
Yeah, we
easy.
can get that.
Any other questions on the dump truck? All right. Did you want to say anything further on that, Bill?
I don't think so. Brendan covered it. It's, just has 115,000 hard miles from plowing every year for 13 years, and its time has come, pretty much. It's old.
Okay.
Just, are we, Mr. Chairman,
David?
we're gonna have the same type of plow on it? Can we put a bigger plow?
It'll be a bigger plow, it'll be an 8-foot.
So do we buy a new plow with this too, or?
Yep.
Yeah?
Yep.
Okay. Let me see it on this, so.
Yeah, in the backup, it tells you everything that's coming with it.
Any other questions on the dump truck? All right, seeing none, next item, Brendan.
Did you want to vote on it, or?
We can take a vote individually.
Okay.
Okay,
That's
why don't
fine.
we do that? Is there a motion to approve the expenditure of $90,000 for a new Ford F-550 dump truck with plow?
I make that motion? You'll notice I make all the motions because I'm retiring, so it's the last hurrah.
Second.
Moved and seconded by Mr. Foss to approve the expenditure of $90,000 for a new F-550 dump truck. Any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll put the motion to a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? And that's unanimous.
For, town meeting asked what the vote is, so we should write it down.
Well, it's unanimous.
It's a hard word to say.
500.
500.
500.
Everybody's here, so it's 500.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. The next one is also in the maintenance division. It is replacing the body in the power lift gate on R6. In the price would be, the request is for $24,000. So the current body on R6 was swapped from an older vehicle when R6 was purchased in 2013. I think that was to, had a decent body on an older truck, and they swapped it onto a chassis. I was not here during that time, but the current body that was swapped on is starting to rot. The vehicle itself is in good shape and clean and well-maintained, but the body is rusting out. Also, the power tailgate or lift gate is bent. It doesn't latch. Safety concern, because if it's not able to latch and someone's going to open it and it falls on them, it's not a lightweight gate. It's hundreds of pounds. So the rest of the truck is in great condition, but the body really, we can get a good 5 more years possibly out of it by changing out the body. So we are requesting $24,000. That would cover a new body, a new dump body, as well as a new power lift gate. It was in your backup. There is a picture of the lift gate. The lift gate is one that you see on tractor trailers and delivery trucks. It folds up, comes down and sits flat. You can offload things, and it lowers down to the ground. And then the body would be a flatbed dump, right? Mm-hmm. I believe so. We use it as our trash truck, so you may see that around at the parks. Does have some,
Has pockets on the side.
Yeah.
That receives boards.
so, that is our next request. I don't have anything else to add on it.
Do you have anything further, Bill?
Nope.
Okay, any questions on upgrading vehicle R6? Kevin?
Okay, I think it's a safety issue, and we don't want any of the employees getting hurt. You have a lot of heavy objects you're moving around, and, it should be a high priority.
Any other comments or questions? Okay, seeing none, the chair will entertain a motion to approve the expenditure of $24,000 to upgrade recreation maintenance vehicle R6.
Can I make that motion?
Mr. Sullivan's been moved and seconded by Mr. Foss
Sure.
to approve the expenditure of $24,000. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That's 500. Next item, Brendan.
Okay, thank you. So the next item is the accessible van. And so, as you may recall, in FY '22, we were approved for an accessible van to assist our therapeutic recreation division. At our last meeting, I brought you up to speed on where we were with that they weren't making the van during the early parts of COVID. When they started making them again this past year, they're not producing them as fast as other vehicles. So when we went to look at ordering one, there had been a significant jump in price of $20,000. So we have a request here for $20,000 to go to the previously approved warrant article. I put this in here because I think we need to have some type of funding source. So if we're not able to identify other funds, whether it's some money from the revolving account, some money from, that could remain in our budget at the end of the year, or come from another town account that may have some funds left at the end of the year, I think it's important to get it on here so at least it continues to move forward. If we say, oh, well, we'll just take our chances and see what we can do at the end of the year, we may lose out on an opportunity to secure, a van for this year. We really do need it for our therapeutic recreation program. It will be our only accessible vehicle. It does have 2 wheelchair spots in it for up to two riders in wheelchairs. If or not, they have seats on the side that fold down, so it would still be used every week in our program. And during the summer, it's used every day of the week. It would be used. So we definitely need it. I don't want to lose out on an opportunity. The funding source could change, but I would like to present it tonight.
Okay, any questions on the additional $20,000 for the handicap van? All right, seeing none, the chair will put that to a vote. All in favor of expending an additional $20,000 to supplement the prior warrant article approval for the accessible van?
Can I make that motion?
Mr. Sullivan's made the motion.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Norton. Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, and that's 5-0-0. Next
Right-
item.
Right now, Kevin, you are 3-0 on making motions, so
right.
you're up 3-0.
Spending a lot of money.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Our next item is the renovation of the street hockey courts at Simons Park. This is an item we've been talking about for a while, and we've been waiting for it to come up for a warrant article for this year. The creation of the pickleball courts on the old tennis court has caused a noise disturbance with our neighbors on Church Lane. We've discussed different options. We've added the Acustablock panels, sound dampening panels. We did a short trial to move the courts up to the existing street hockey area with some moderate success, we'll say, without the sound panels. It moves it further away from the residents on Church Lane. The surface of the court really needs to be redone. It was never done when the other 3 courts up there were done back 4 years ago or 5 years ago. In order to put a like surface that we have down in the lower pickleball court, the court needs to be completely renovated and re-asphalted. We need to put in the pickleball posts need to be cored into the ground, and then the whole surface needs to be painted. And our staff would move the Acustablock panels up to the upper court. As you all know, this is a topic we've been discussing for quite some time. So, we have an opportunity this year to request funds to renovate the court, and paving is in the 70 to 75,000 range. I'm waiting on a quote for fencing still. I would like to do new fencing around it and make sure that they're beefy enough posts all the way around to handle the Acustablock panels, and, talking to a couple pavers that I received quotes, one verbal, one written. The area is tricky to get in and pave. There's not, you can't do a full run on the court with the box, the paving box, because you have to stop so many feet away from the fence, and then the rest of that's handwork. So that does contribute to the price. This would be a project we have to go out to bid, so, we are estimating $84,000 to take care of this. It could come in at 94. It could come in at 65. And really, based on the current economy and petroleum, asphalt is a petroleum-based product, we're really at that mercy. So if gas prices are coming down and price of, a barrel of oil comes down, it only helps us. And we would go out, if successful, if approved tonight and successful at town meeting, I would try to bid this right away in July for a late August completion.
All right. Questions for Brendan on the pickleball court renovation? Mr. Gaffney?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a couple. I think the only way I can support that, if this is not a temporary measure, as we've talked in the past, can we condition that, such as this is not a temporary measure?
That would be a decision that the commission could make.
And just the other question I have on the proposal is that on item 10, it does say the skate ramps removal by others. So I just want to make sure that that the folks aren't confusing the skate park with the street hockey, because the only thing you need to remove there is just nets, and that anybody can do that,
Yeah,
right?
they've prepared other quotes for us. I think this was probably in the notes for the site. So yes, it has nothing to do with skate park ramps.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Any other questions? David?
Does this include if we, the fencing, now if we gotta put the fencing in, a new fence?
Yep, the 84 would include fencing. I'm just waiting on that quote. It's gonna be between 8 and 10 for the fencing. So we'd be putting the same 10-foot fence, 3/4 of the way around it.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, let's, Kevin?
Question through the chair to the neighbors, is that the solution?
What
that
I was
if-
gonna,
Yeah,
what I was gonna suggest, let's put a motion on the floor, then invite him.
okay.
Okay, you
I
want to
make
put a
that
motion on the
motion.
floor? All right, Mr. Sullivan's made a motion to approve the expenditure of $84,000 to renovate the street hockey area and swap it with pickleball courts. I'd like to invite anyone in the audience who would like to speak on this now to come up and join us.
Thank you.
Greetings.
Just really quickly,
And just say your name for the record for those who are
It's
here.
Dawn O'Brien on Church Lane, directly across from the...
Press the button on there so it's green.
Is there a button here? Yeah,
Oh, it is green. Okay.
So I'm directly across from the tennis court. And Brendan and this whole committee has been great. I just need you to know that. Thank you for all of your time, yours and Kevin's coming up and meeting us. I have two things. It's really not just that it's a bothersome to the neighbors. It really is historically across the country a problem with pickleball and the noise disturbance and the decibels, and we've shown articles. So I don't want it to think that it's just a small group of people. This is a problem, again, everywhere. And I know people have had struggles with it. And I know that, and I apologize if, I don't mean to disrespect anyone, but this was an admission of an error that everyone thought it was more like tennis because it was brand new and hadn't really been investigated. But now that we know, my other thought is when you present it, if you could present it as a problem across the country and not just a couple of neighbors. But my other thought is, and I don't know if you can get free estimates, but is it worth you maybe getting an estimate, say, to have it someplace where it's not near any neighbors? I'm thinking in my head behind, like, up in the center field there, somewhere like that. If it's gonna be that much more to do that, is it worth putting that 84,000 in for, like someone said, a permanent position? Because I agree, I don't want it to be temporary, but maybe this might be an opportunity to take, if it gets approved, just to have, it's 200,000 to do this or 84 to do that, and what the town meeting might need as a comparison, if that makes sense. Because it really should be somewhere where there's really no neighbors bordering it within, what do we talk about, the decibels? 200, something like a highway. This is like being next to a highway. Is anyone else going up to hear it? It's repetitive, 16 people banging 4 balls.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and it's loud, and I love the fact that Brendan realizes sometimes it's loud noise with swearing and disrespect. It's tough.
Mr. Norton?
I agree with you, the noise level, I just don't think we have a spot that we can, right now, move and put, and as a commissioner, or as, I'll speak for myself, I know that pickleball's, like you said, growing, it's probably the fastest growing sport. I read an article in the paper in the Globe the other day, that's the fastest growing sport in the country. So as a commission, as a recreation commission, we have to look at, our residents, that's something that they want, but we have to have your concerns also, but to come up with a spot that we don't have, and then take 84,000 to put in, I don't know what we'll decide on. But yeah, there's a lot,
Well, that's the other concern, if it's a growing sport, and this is nothing against pickleball, honestly, this is just the location. But if it's that growing, can you envision, if you close your eyes, would all 4 courts be ending up needing that because of the town demand? And that would be crazy. So is it better to try to find some place, and I'm sure you've all looked for it, so that if it grows, you can expand it to meet the needs of the town residents, but also the people who abut it?
I would
You know what I'm
love to.
saying?
I would,
Love to,
that would be our
yeah.
ultimate goal, to come up with a new spot, like, over at Cummings Park, if we could ever make that property to, because there's
Yeah.
no residents there, it's just but, all of our parks are right next to
Yeah.
residential.
Yeah,
So that's our problem right now.
right.
If maybe a private company is gonna come in and all of a sudden they're gonna build a big pickleball court that has nothing to do with recreation, but it's just a private company that's gonna make money on the side on pickleball, that might happen, I don't know, but,
Yeah, true.
but as we stand now, I don't believe we have a location.
So
we
could we
can-
get at least a commitment that those other 3 courts would not be converted to pickleball?
Oh, I would never suggest converting those for what, we've been working
Oh,
with
it's
you
just
guys
painful.
for
I know,
2 years.
and I appreciate it.
Yeah,
Right.
and, so I don't ever see converting those to, I look at parks, short of cutting down trees somewhere and create, right, we wouldn't do that either, probably.
Right.
Well, but everything's, as Commissioner Norton mentioned, is in a residential area. So we had looked at the option of over on Blue Sky Drive, seeing if they wanted to, as they're developing their site, add some, and it's not something they want to do on the site, but maybe there's another business that comes in that wants to contribute somehow, and we can identify an area. There are a couple other things we're looking at, but they're not on town-owned property.
Right.
So I
but-
can't really speak to those
Right.
now, and, I would hate to see us spend 84,000 and then, in 2 years, whether it's yourself or other abutters that come and say, it's too loud, right?
Yeah. So what about places like Mary Cummings Park or so? I know we don't own that, but is it worth approaching them?
We don't, it's, part of we're in talks on, they want to put a conservation easement on the property, so you couldn't add a bathroom building, you couldn't add, scoreboards, you couldn't add any type of building. And I was gonna bring this up later, but I met with town council today. They're getting no response from the city of Boston. We've offered things back in conversation, and it's been almost a year. And they're just not, they're too busy with other things. This is right?
Right.
So we've looked at that as an option, and that is in a commercial area where, there's not necessarily residents abutting that, portions of the park that we're able to use.
Is there a
Sure, we would hear from nature walk, people walking in nature and,
Yeah,
that,
sure.
so,
Is there park a town owned by Middlesex Turnpike, wasn't there some grant or something? that gave
So
the
Miter
property?
Field, and that is also an agreement with the Miter Corp. So we don't own the property outright.
They may be willing to meet with us as a donation to the town.
We have looked at that, into that option as well. Trying, lots of irons in the fire,
Yeah.
trying to find the one that be the least resistance,
Right.
easiest to have something go, move through and come to fruition.
Right, because I know the kids used to play baseball down there, right?
Mhm.
Well, if there's anything we can do to help you meet with them, because it may be good for them, and that's in a good area.
Mhm.
No homes, right?
There are
depends-
homes
it
on,
depends on
on
where
the
it
old
is.
Middlesex Turnpike Extension, is that what it's called, the dead end? Well,
Oh, yeah.
that used to continue on. There are
Right.
homes there. But it's a larger piece, you could maybe possibly put them closer to the Bedford,
Yeah.
the intersection over by Route 3 and,
Well, maybe you can combine their employee assistance program with their mental health for their employees, and they can go and play during the lunchtime or something, and it might be good for them.
we do, share the softball field that's over there
Oh,
with
that's
their,
right.
with their company sometime. They have one on their side of the new Middlesex Turnpike, that was created a few years back, and they have a softball field over there, but sometimes they've asked if they could come over and use our side as well, which we do, so maybe
Sure.
that
Yeah.
is, a potential.
Well, if there's a chance that we could even join with you when we meet, if you meet with them and help them, there may be a gym in the town that might want to add one,
Indoors would be great,
would be perfect.
but,
Because if, especially, I don't mean to take too much time, but that might be a money-making thing for an indoor gym. People, I guess they pay to play tennis or join club membership. It's just a thought. So if the 84,000 gets approved, could it be held to maybe use it towards an alternative that comes up? Or you have to go through the town meeting again?
I think we would have to designate it. It has to be designated what the purpose is.
Okay,
So if we're saying Simons Park, we can't then say, oh, we want to use it somewhere else for a different purpose.
Yeah.
We would have to go back to town meeting.
Mida may pay half of it.
But if a better solution was determined, don't you think town meeting would go along with letting you use the 84,000 to a different location?
They potentially would, but again, we'd have to go back, so we'd have to wait until the next town meeting, so there would be, some delays in that.
And when's the next town meeting? When's this
Uh,
one coming?
This town meeting that we're discussing the warrant articles for tonight is May 8th. And then after that, it would be the end of September. And then there is one in January as well.
So I would like to move forward with presenting this to town meeting, because I feel nothing else is ever going to happen. I felt kind of blindsided the last meeting that I was at when I was here. I always thought the goal was, temporary to eventually permanent, get it out of Simons Park. But I understand the cost of it. So I feel if nothing else is going to happen, we need it moved up to the hockey rink. That is still my vote. There was some other comments, I listened to the last rec committee meeting, and when there was talk of, maybe Blue Sky having a court and, get ready, it's gonna be popular. And I think, Brendan, you might have said, we attract people as far as Worcester and southern New Hampshire. So again, for me personally, it's great for the town people, but I don't want to listen to extra players that are coming from that far away, because then there's no break. So, reducing hours, making it only for town residents, charging a fee, having a badge, I don't know. We just are gonna have to come up with some way to make this less intrusive, because as homeowners, right there, we deserve some quality of life. You know, Donna works in an ER, you know, she has a very, you know, demanding job. I have a very complicated life right now with a lot of personal issues, and, you know, we deserve some peace and quiet quality of life that we don't have.
So I just want to go back to my, we were attracting people from all over. Once we took it off of the scheduler, I'm seeing the same faces. Now, I'm not there 24 hours a day, right?
On the
Um,
weekends,
Right,
you get the people from further away on the weekends.
right. We were getting them during the week too, in the summer. A lot, you know, a lot of retirees, but it's getting younger, so I do understand that. But,
And you know they
You know.
bring their own nets to go in another court. Like-
are they now, since we've fenced off the pickleball courts, so?
They did, actually, they only did it
Up at
one
the
day,
top, yeah.
Christmas morning.
Oh,
Christmas morning, they were in where you had the temporary fence, they were in there Christmas morning.
They're determined, and it's fine. It's a
I
great
think it's
sport.
probably was someone's tradition.
maybe.
Yeah. Anyway, we don't want to take too much of your time, and thank you for listening, but
But it is a huge nuisance.
So-
And as far as like you at one meeting said, that, you know, you thought it was great because you're getting the younger generations involved and stuff, but, you know, for a 6 or 7-year-old to, you know, watch, it just feels like our quality of life is more important than a 6 or 7-year-old being exposed to pickleball.
it is the strangest thing, out of all the things that you offer up at the park, that is the loudest, most
Oh, it's
intrusive,
awful.
most
It's just-
difficult thing. I mean, everything else for all these years has been pleasant. People are happy, they're laughing, it's all good, we don't mind that, but, you know, it's the swearing, it's the yelling, it's the pickleball noise constantly, just, they've actually been disrespectful to us as we're walking down the street or so, and I don't even want to get into arguments with them, but that's what they do, is they argue with us as well, so,
I think we
Thank
hear,
you.
we all hear your
yeah,
concerns.
I know.
Brendan and I have talked about the Mary Cummings Park. We have a license agreement with the city of Boston that restricts what we can do up there.
Yeah, sure,
So we're hoping to negotiate
Yeah.
going forward, and as Brendan said, we've been waiting to get a response back from the city of Boston about what other things we can do up there.
Yeah.
They're trying to limit to what they call passive recreational use, the rest of the property. We only license the part where we have the dog walk and the soccer area. The other part that they've recently opened up with the walking trails and that area, they want to limit that
sure.
to passive recreational use. And we're having discussions about opening that up to active recreational uses, so we could put things like pickleball courts up there. So that's what we're thinking about. We're not giving up on it. That's one of my passions. I don't want to limit all of that beautiful area, just to walking trails. I think that wasn't the intent if you go back historically and look at what Mary Cummings talked about for that area. She didn't talk about, she talked about public playgrounds, but she talked about a lot of active things. So we're hoping we can get something done with the city of Boston as a commission. And the selectmen are gonna have to be involved in it, you know, over the next several months. We don't know how long it'll take, so we
Sure.
can't make any promises. So this is an interim, in my mind, it's interim. In some of the other commissioners' minds, it might be that plus. I don't know. It depends on the popularity of the sport and whether this solution is better for you than we think it's gonna be. Hopefully, it will be better.
Right,
Um,
thank you.
So are there any other comments from the commission, Mr. Gaffney?
Sure, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think the only comment I have, listened to the neighbors on that, is that if you look at other towns and how they manage the time on their pickleball courts, I know Woburn has a scheduling themselves, but it's for Woburn residents only.
Yeah.
So you sign up as a Woburn resident and you reserve that court. I think they limit it to an hour or two per reservation, only for Woburn residents, so
Yeah,
maybe
we
that's
do-
something to consider for Burlington, or even check out other towns. What other towns do is benchmarking, you know, to mitigate it. As neighbors say, this is a national issue. And, you know, if there's close to other neighbors, you see articles on it. And, when we first did that, nobody knew what it was and how much noise it was gonna make, so.
Yeah, good
um,
point.
but thank-
Front page of the Sunday Globe, the
Was it
story on
really?
it this week. Yeah.
No kidding.
Was it? And Tom Brady now owns part of one
Oh, boy.
somewhere,
Yeah.
right? So you know that it's gonna be only bigger
It's
and
gonna
bigger.
be good.
If money, there's money involved.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Maybe they'll put them all indoors. We won't have to worry about it.
That's what they should do. We don't own anything near Northeastern, right? Is
Pardon me?
Northeastern just owned by Northeastern and Brunswick? Okay.
Looked at that too. I actually had a
I'm sure.
conversation with them as they were building that,
Yeah, the
the
cage.
second, no, the large building up there that
Oh, the second one.
backs up to Mary Cummings. They had a basketball court up there and asked about transitioning that into
Yeah.
3 pickleball courts, but it may be something we can revisit. They do have a bunch of area up there. So when you have private property and public entering it, that becomes tricky.
Sure.
Um,
Yeah.
So, but
Just
I,
one more question, though, and this is from the old Nike site. Are there homes up there?
yes,
They
we,
are? I haven't been up there.
We've-
recently.
We've also looked
We've
at-
thought about that.
looked at that.
Yeah.
So, and we are looking at a potential grant for that down the road. And one of the items we looked at was pickleball, but where they could be placed, there are homes like right
Yeah.
closer than yours, or maybe about the same
don't do it.
distance.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so now that we know, what we've,
What you know.
what we know,
what you know, right.
it's become, something that we look at all of our properties, and sometimes we'll look at them multiple times to see, oh, how could this fit? But, trying to not repeat what we've got now, moving it further away from some neighbors. So we'll continue to look.
Okay, and don't get me wrong, I know you've looked and you know the town better than I
Yeah.
do. I just hadn't realized you had already looked through all of that, so it's good to know. So it sounds like this is probably the only alternative for now. And then if a second court comes up, maybe it will be at one of those sites and split it
Yeah.
if they need more.
So just so everyone's clear on the process, I'm presenting this as a potential warrant article for town meeting tonight. The Recreation Commission and votes on it, and then they have to go before capital budget and Ways and Means
Sure.
to keep moving it forward. So at some point, someone could, one of those could vote down and not support it, could still go to a town meeting and not have the support or, a majority support of some of those groups. And then it would be on, the town meeting members to vote to approve funding for that, so.
Thank you, though. I know it's a lot of work.
Okay, do you want to put that motion to a vote?
Thank you.
Just
Mr.
one more
Sullivan?
thing. So, basically, we want, we've looked at this for 2 years, and we all understand the problem now, and we're trying solutions, and it's obvious we've gone through all the parks. But when we go to town meeting for the vote for $84,000, the town meeting members are gonna be a little bit like Bill, that is this money gonna be the best use of the money by the town? They don't wanna waste town dollars on this, so before we vote on this, are you gonna be happy with this solution is an important, because if you're not happy and you go to town meeting, our town meeting watches this and says the residents aren't
Some
happy
people-
with it, it might not pass just for that
Sure,
reason, so
right.
that's a concern.
Sir?
If I may, I'm sorry, there were only 2 chairs up here, so I didn't come up before. My name's John Albaghini. I live on Elm Ave, and it's quite a bit of a noise, even though I'm another 80 feet away from where she is or whatever. It's still quite a bit of noise, and, moving it up to the top, as Diana said, it may be better than nothing,
Okay.
but I don't see it as being a huge improvement. And one of the things I had a couple of points, one question. The question is, if you guys approve this and it goes on a warrant article to the town meeting, and let's say just for some reason it gets approved there, if during that time frame you've discovered a better place for it, and that's gonna cost 120, whatever. I know a guy who built a tennis court in his backyard, and that's about what it cost him. So let's say it's about that. Are you then, is it then possible to go back to town meeting and ask them to put that 84,000 towards the 120, that we might be able to move this? I don't want to waste this 84,000, but I also don't want to waste the opportunity to move it just in case that's the only option. But from what I'm hearing here is there may be some possibilities to move it to another location. And I don't want to, as a taxpayer, I don't want to waste 84 grand moving it up the hill when 3 months later somebody says, oh, guess what? This comes up as a possibility over here. So is it, what's the process? Is it somehow retractable at some point?
I think we could, John, as a commission, vote to request that the town spend that money on a different location. You see any reason we couldn't do that?
But we could here, though,
No.
request it to move it and then sort of have it in the bank later so that we could say, oh, wait a minute, now we think a better location, we could put that money towards?
Well, we could, I've seen situations where warrant articles have been approved and the money sits there for a year.
Good. Okay, so that's a possibility. That's what I want to understand. So it's still a possibility that it could go somewhere else.
So we can continue to explore other potential sites. As we explore that, we would not expend the $84,000, so the courts would stay where they are.
I understand that.
Right.
But I think that as you explore that, you said that you need to go up for bids, and during that process, and the earliest it was gonna happen would be August. So it sounds like you got maybe a few more months to explore other opportunities, and that, I think, would be acceptable to do that in the meantime. Now, go ahead,
Sorry,
I'm
I
sorry.
think step number one is taking it to the town meeting. It sounds like, right? So
Yeah,
we
that's
have
what
to
I'm
agree
getting
that
at,
they
yeah.
do that, because after 2 years, nothing's changed. They've worked really
We're
hard.
coming up on 3, right? We're gonna be.
Yeah,
coming
and
up
you
on
really have put a lot of time and energy
Right.
into this, so if nothing else, I think it needs to go to town meeting.
Yeah.
They may throw it to town and then whatever,
But if you guys don't
We won't.
approve it here, it doesn't go to town meeting and nothing changes anyway.
Correct.
So I think what I'm hearing here is, we'd like you to approve it, and then in the same time frame as that it's going to town meeting, and they're talking about it,
Yeah.
maybe explore some alternatives. I've got one other point to make. You're not gonna like it, I know, Bill, because you play
Quickly.
pickleball.
Oh,
No,
good.
But why not just shut it down?
that's
Take-
what my husband
Take,
has said all
take everything
along.
down and then say, I mean, the people of Burlington might be upset about it, but I'll tell you, it drives me nuts. And even if I play pickleball, I go find someplace else. I belong to the Woburn Racket Club and play tennis. You can go play racquetball over there if you want to pay the fee. So I don't understand, I guess after all this, I know this is my first meeting I've been to, but I've been listening to these two forever. I don't understand why we're in this situation that we're in. After hearing all this for 3 years, I just don't understand why you've allowed it to continue. I don't mean that disrespectfully, please, but it would be so much easier just to take the post up or do something else with that court.
That's a
just-
tennis.
So
That's a-
I'm gonna be devil's advocate, because I'm for moving it, I'm for all of that, but in fairness, there is a whole town of people who probably enjoy playing pickleball.
Right.
It's not their fault that they should lose that.
No, I
When,
understand.
when this group has been so willing to work with us, but, so it's not fair to them to lose the court, and it's not fair to us to keep it, or you're really stuck. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But moving forward, this is the best we've got for right now. The best alternative
Okay.
is to go to town meeting, ma'am.
Yes,
just
I-
Rather than
I
wait another
agree.
2 years until Mary Cummings decides to help us through her grant, right?
I don't think she
And
has
we've
anything to
taken
say
up
about
enough
I
it.
think
time.
Mary Cummings is probably gonna be, they're probably gonna not want that much noise there too. I don't know, I've never even actually been over there. But I thought that
It is
was a much
beautiful.
more kind of quiet,
Place.
beautiful place, and no one over there is gonna wanna listen to it either.
We're gonna vote.
Thank you, John.
Well-
Thank you.
I appreciate everything you've done. And I think that after almost 3 years, you've given it all that you can. You're still trying. Get it to town meeting, see if they'll approve the funds, and then maybe we can regroup and see if something else has come up in the meantime.
We
Does
can,
that
con-
make sense?
Yes.
we'll continue to search out locations. You know, if the commission approves the funds tonight and between now and town meeting, something came up that was really good, you know, we could look at that and have a discussion.
Maybe town meeting will come up with something really good. Maybe they have their own connections. Okay,
You never know.
thank you.
Thank you for your time and for
Thank
your
you.
input.
Thank
We
you.
appreciate it. Okay. I think it's time to put that motion to a vote. All in favor? We're expending, well, I'll clarify,
Did it get
expending the
seconded?
sum of $84,000 to renovate the street hockey area at Simons Park into pickleball.
It never got seconded.
Did you second that, Dave?
I'll second it.
Okay. Moved and second.
Do you have any more discussion? Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? And that's a 5-0-0.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time. Next capital item, Brendan.
All right. Okay, thank you. The last cap, I think it's the last,
Master plan?
is, yes, the Parks and Outdoor Facility Master Plan. This has,
That's it?
do you have, I gave, everyone has.
Wasn't there a special one here?
Yeah, there is a
This one?
new, there is an
Oh, that's good.
updated one. So in your packet, you had just the first page. We'd asked some different things out of it, so they had to make some corrections for this year. So the document will allow us to adopt an implementation strategy and establish capital budgets to provide meaningful improvements to park and recreation facilities. This master plan is something or this actual request we've had on our capital list for 4 or 5 years now. We did pull it back as we headed into the pandemic. I think FY '21 is when we originally had it on and pulled it. We didn't add it back in because of the pandemic and, you know, having other much more needed requests at the time. So our last 20-year outdoor facility plan expired in 2020. And it covered all of our parks, the schools, playgrounds, and things like that. Well, now that there's an athletic field master plan that's out there, we were able to pull that out of, you know, not include any of the athletic fields at the schools or in the parks. We're gonna adopt that into this plan. We also had 2 items that we were looking at that we've had past discussions on, one being a master plan for the Simons Park Playground, to move forward with that. And the other, now that Overlook Park is, you know, we're gonna have buildings coming down, and we're gonna have to reimagine that facility. We asked this company, Weston and Sampson, who's done a lot of work with the town, to add in 2 specific plans for those areas, one for Overlook Park and one for Simons Park, in this overall larger plan. So we had some updating to do to the plan. What this will do, it will go through all of our outdoor parks and facilities, all of our playgrounds, parks, the school properties, the playgrounds and amenities there that are non-athletic. And it will also do 2 specific plans for the Simons Park Playground and for the Overlook Park project. We'll need a plan for each of those to go forward with funding requests, so that's why those were picked out specifically. It will look at all of our parks and properties and give us, you know, up-to-date plans how we want to go forward. They'll have focus group meetings, public meetings that will ask for input on all of these. So it's really a comprehensive plan, but we're able to pull some other plans that are out there now. Our needs assessment that we did with the University of New Hampshire a few years ago will be used, as well as the town's open space and recreation plan and the athletic field master plan as well. Will all be used and incorporated into this plan, and then this group will go and do all of our facilities, put it all into one document. Again, this is something we have pushed off for the last 4 years, and it was really a document that we used to guide us to improvements in the parks. And actually, just one more thing on it. Bill found an old drawing from the last plan up at Overlook Park. Really, Overlook Park looked great in the addition they had at the time, but it was something that takes into effect the move out of our maintenance division, which now has. We've left the park, so that building can come down, and another building can come down, and it really provides a good overall look up there. Did they have a tennis court, playground, or basketball court, playground, and then some walking trails and parking, and it really, is something that we would look to do up there now with a land and water conservation grant. So this document will be a guiding document for us going forward for all of our outdoor facilities.
Good. Questions? Kevin? David?
I know we don't own the property, but is there any way that they could look at Cummings Park at all? Just for a future reference, even though,
We can add, I believe it's in here as maybe it's not in here as a property. We can add it.
I'm just saying because we've talked about Cummings Park as something that we, so, I mean,
That's a
it's
very,
probably gonna last 20 years anyway, so
Very
hopefully
good
in 20 years, we're getting something done over at Cummings Park, and they can come up with at least a spot, or, their engineering department could,
pickleball at Cummings Park, Brendan.
yeah.
Have them look at that.
I mean, basically, that's the only spot you
Yeah.
could actually,
Perfect.
in the whole town, so.
No, I still think the office parks are a great place, and working with business, I think we're losing an opportunity. Maybe it's just not getting to the critical path in our management. Maybe, select board or town manager hears this and see that maybe we can work together.
I think we've had conversations with economic development
Yeah.
as well. And I know Liz, at planning also keeps that, thought in her mind when companies are looking to locate or office parks are looking to do things. So there is, some other, there's another area that I've looked at. I just don't know how, that partnership would allow for courts. And we do, are cognizant of the noise now, so putting it by any type of home is, something we want to be very careful of.
Just one more note on pickleball. I really believe that there's gonna be a company or somebody that's gonna build a big structure in Burlington that's gonna have 20 pickleball courts. They're all gonna be rented, and that's what I see happening. Because there's gonna be money behind it, and I might be wrong, but everything that I've read, I've seen, talked about how this sport is growing. Now, if the youth ever gets behind it, that's when you'll see because that's when the parents will get involved, and that's where the money comes. So if somebody knows they can make money on it, that could relieve some of the pressure that we're getting from, but we still as a rec department need to provide those courts for our residents. So, but I think that's the way it's gonna happen. I might be wrong.
Could be right. Okay, any other questions on the master plan? Mr. Foss?
Thank you. I know that they're going to incorporate the school athletic plan, but I'm afraid that people at town meeting, they just spent 70,000 last year on this. I just wonder what kind of questions you're gonna get, in May about spending another 58. And I realize that this is focused on rec and the other one is focused on athletics or school athletic facilities.
Mm-hmm.
Do you anticipate any kind of pushback?
I anticipate those
vein?
questions.
Yeah,
I do, and I'm gonna be honest that that plan covers athletic fields that the school uses, and we've gotten to include athletic fields in our parks, but it doesn't touch anything else. It's not going through all of the playgrounds, it's not going through the amenities on the site, it's not looking at the sites overall, it's just looking at the athletic field on the site
Okay.
and coming up with future plans, what could actually, what the property, how it could be, I don't want to use reimagined, but we'll use reimagined in the future, what the current desires and needs are of the public.
yeah.
And we're going through to the schools and doing all their playgrounds and stuff. Now, have a school or possibly two that could be moving into a new school down the road, so, when plans are drawn up for schools, they always like to include the right playgrounds and lots of nice plantings and stuff like that. They could take from that plan, but we have parks that we'd like to put facilities in, bathroom facilities, irrigation in parks where we don't have irrigation now onto the athletic fields. All those type of things would be included into this plan. And what could the property potentially hold in the future? Could it be another building on that property? What increasing parking, like we talk about veterans, they'll look at Veterans Park and that parking lot's just small and
Yeah.
it's hard to get in and out. Is there another solution? They're gonna look hard at all of those items, and let us know. Where, yes, the schools did one last year and, I let them know we have one that we've held back because of money, but they went forward and, had their athletic one approved.
Gotcha.
So, I'm hoping that, people can see the difference. I would expect they would be able to, think they're, especially, with backup that we provide and what it entails.
So some of those revisions that they're gonna make to the athletic ones, it's not gonna include everything that you need to make the future plans, is that right?
No, it's gonna include athletic fields.
But nothing else?
Nothing, no other amenities, no playgrounds,
Gotcha.
no walking trails, no basketball courts, pickleball, tennis, badminton. It's not, anything like that, outdoor volleyball, those type of things, water fountains.
All right, thanks.
Any other comments or questions?
Just a comment, adding Simon's Park design and the overlook conceptual, those alone could have been $20,000 items on their own. So doing one master look at everything, I think is a great idea. And, we have a hidden gem up at Overlook that's not being used that really needs to be looked at. And this is gonna be the moving force for it, so I'm excited for this.
Yeah, and moving forward, when we go to apply for a land and water conservation, one is they want a conceptual plan. So this will give us that conceptual plan for that park. So when we don't have to then go hire someone at, as Kevin mentioned, 10, 15, 20,000 to create one for just that park. And the same thing with the playground. In order for some of the people that are assisting us in the business community and looking at potential donations, having a conceptual plan that they can hand to someone and say, this this is what this playground's gonna be, what we'd like to see. So it would be taken up in there. The rest of Simon's Park will be included in there as well, but, to have those items included, are kind of big ticket items for us.
Anything further? Actually, it's a pretty good price when you think about all the work they're gonna do.
It is. In a few years ago, the price was, I think it was 46. So we had some increases, and we were able to take some stuff out, as I mentioned, that they'll be able to incorporate plans that we've already had done. And then, so it really only went up, is it 12,000? Right, well, I have it up to 62 because
Well, it might go up a little
Increase.
more if they take a look at Mary Cummings, though.
that, and it's, we got a quote from this company, but we do have to go out to
Sure.
bid.
Absolutely.
So they may not be the low bidder. They could, by then, by July or August, they could be 10,000 more and another company comes in under them, so.
Okay. Okay, any further questions or comments on the motion? All right, seeing none, we'll put that motion to a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, and that's 500. Is that it, Brendan? On
That
the
is-
capital items?
On capital
Yeah.
items, yes.
Okay. Next item on our agenda is dog park improvement approval.
Okay.
Brenda.
Thank you. So we have received an improvement grant from the Stanton Foundation in the amount of $26,500 to be used for improvements at the park. That was part of the initial grant application is we were eligible for 3 improvement grants over the course of the first 5 years of the park through the Stanton Foundation. The Stanton Foundation was the funding source for the park originally. We could do those 3 improvement grants after the first 18 months, after the first 2.5 years, and then after 3 years. Or we could get them all together at once. So the park has been a success. We've had, knock on wood, really good luck there. It's one that people enjoy going to. So we've been meeting the last 1.5 years, I guess, to look at improvements to the park. Our meetings have been stretched out because we get busy with other things and come back. But we met last week, and we had met in the fall as well. Then we met last week, and the improvement that everybody would like to see is the addition of some canine turf or canine grass, which is artificial turf meant for dogs. The weave on the back is a little wider, so it allows urine to go through quicker than sitting in the base layer of the grass. They'd like to add it at the front section of the park. What happens now is people come into the unleashing area. Other dogs run up to see who's coming in, right? Oh, let's go see. And they go running up, and it's stone dust in the park in that area, and they stop and push the stone dust up onto the memorial bricks that are in there, the engraved bricks. So they're looking at adding canine grass to prevent the displacement of the stone dust, but also to prevent dogs from digging in the stone dust, which they often do in that area. And it will go from the front gate to the other side of the drinking fountain. There is a stone dust path that goes up the left side of the park, and then the rest is pea stone, and then some canine grass at the back. The total cost of the canine grass, the additional canine grass, would be $28,500. Sorry, $27,700. But I'm asking for the commission to approve an amount of $28,500 in case bids come in higher. We have a total in our account, in the dog park donation account, of $49,865.64. So we have plenty of money to cover it. The only other item we'd be looking to potentially add to the park is some kind of shade structure. And we're working on quotes for a specific shade structure now.
Okay, the chair will entertain a motion to approve the expenditure of a sum not to exceed $28,500 from the dog park donation account.
Can I make that motion?
Mr. Sullivan,
Second.
seconded by Mr. Foss. Any further discussion?
I've been on that subcommittee, and the canine grass would be a big help. And, you know, the dogs, you could put signs up saying, "Don't disturb the stone," but they're not listening. So it would be helpful, and it's well-used, and it's a nice feature to offer the residents. of
Would
the
you
town.
like to explain to us what canine grass is?
It's AstroTurf for dogs.
That's fake grass, okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I thought. Any further comments or questions? All right, seeing none, we'll now vote on that motion. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, and that's 500. All right, any further items of new business, Brendan?
Well, I touched on it a little earlier. It came up during our pickleball discussion. But I did have a conversation with town council today regarding the, City of Boston land, the Mary Cummings Park, and the conservation easement. She has actually not gotten any response from them. She's gonna reach out again. She's working on something for them as well that they asked for, and it's been 13 months. And she emails a couple times a month asking, they say, "Oh, we'll get you the information." I think they're just super busy, and that's an important project that not that ours isn't important, but that's like a development project that they're working on, that she's working, with another client on. And, this is something small, like way back burner, I think. So we'll keep pressing, but there's been really no movement on this as of yet.
Okay.
So, and
Keep our fingers crossed.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah. So I asked, is this something that they could just approve and, approve the conservation easement without taking into consideration any of our concerns or anything? Said it's unlikely that they would do that. But I know, I also asked, would there be the possibility of them granting that section of land to the town? But I don't think they would do that because it would break the trust. And if they're gonna break the trust, they're gonna break it to develop something there, right? To sell the property for future development, which I don't see a court allowing that. So, having an agreement to use the property works great for us, but making sure we can, make the best use out of it,
Yeah.
is important.
Yeah. I agree. Any
Just-
questions?
Just one question. Can we ask town council to ask if Boston would ever be willing to sell it to us? CPA didn't pass because there wasn't a major fundraising event that you needed to raise the money. But, Boston they don't really want the property there, but they inherited it. If
So you're
we had a-
saying the overall, the entire property, right?
I think it would have to be like a friendly taking. They call them friendly
Eminent
eminent domain
domain.
takings in
Well-
order to break the trust.
In the past, the government took the Northeastern for the Nike site, and we took land for the water tower. So it has happened in the past.
Absolutely.
I wanted Bob Mercier to offer that when we were trying to do it years ago, but he said we had no money. But
I think, Kevin, town council's position was it's already being put to a public purpose. So if Burlington was gonna take it for an eminent domain taking for a public purpose, she wasn't sure we could win that argument.
Right, it would have to be a breaking of the trust, though, as well.
Yeah.
If we took it, we would lose, because we're gonna, as you mentioned, we're gonna use it as the same thing. They're managing it
Well,
fine,
if we could do a
whether they
friendly
want to or
taking,
not.
if we could get them to agree to it, we'd have to come up with some dough. That's the problem. It would not be cheap. It'd be a warrant article. And then the town, we'd have to convince the town to spend the money to do something similar to what we're doing for free. you know?
that we have to ask for every 15 years.
Yeah, that's true.
What-
I like
We
the
could
idea.
change
Don't get me
their
wrong,
mind.
I like
They
the
could
idea.
change
What-
their
Yeah.
minds.
Mr. Chairman, why
That's the
can't
one.
we put pickleball courts there right now? It's recreation.
Right, but it's not passive recreation, and the agreement states that we can't build anything, or, it's very strict, agreement. We could ask,
I
we could
mean,
always ask about
we
that.
play soccer up there, we play lacrosse up there, we have other stuff, and it would be like, you know, a section of it that, right? I mean, it's recreation, it's people outside, they're, you know, it's like meeting the demand of what she wanted for
Are you-
people to be out there and be active. I don't understand why the town Boston would fight us on something like that if
Just
we
a-
could just get a simple answer.
Just to follow up, Dave, on that thought, they play tennis on clay courts and grass courts, and if they were opposed to us constructing asphalt up there, maybe make them out of clay. Have you played on clay courts, Bill? I mean, it might require more maintenance, but it might be, it's something we could explore. Yeah,
I will ask those two questions to town council. Yeah. See if, you know, the adding pickleball, there may be something, and I don't know it off the top of my head, the agreement that states you cannot, you know, construct anything up there.
Yeah.
That how it is now and how it's maintained now is how it's gonna stay. So, but I can look into that, and I can surely ask that question.
it's okay. Any other items of new business, Brendan?
The only other thing is, our new assistant program coordinator, Jeff DeSalvo, started today. So, lots of information, that he's getting, and we have the whole calendar onboarding packet set up that we're all taking times, working with him on different things, and, big one tomorrow will be going through the budget and capital items in the process. And then he'll be getting some training on the website at the end of the week. We're excited to have him on board, and I think he's gonna be a quick learner.
Well, we wish him the best. no
You know,
doubt.
I'll have him to a future meeting.
Good.
When he gets settled.
Any other items of new business? Old business? Anybody have any old business? Mr. Gaffney?
Just one question came from the planning board. Are we planning on anything for Mr. Raymond? They asked me that, and I said I hadn't heard anything.
Haven't thought about it.
Someone mentioned a bench or something, but I don't know if that's been discussed here.
Yeah,
But
well,
David, you'd said, Mr. Norton.
that wasn't through the rec, that was more asked through the sculpture park, which I'm a member of. They wanted to put a, I don't know if we should talk about it. I don't want them to hear about it.
I don't know anything
Yeah.
about it, so.
Might be confidential at this point.
Yeah, that's all.
Okay, any other items of old business?
The
Any other?
only other item I had, I just had to confirm a date. We are scheduled for Ways and Means on March 15th, Wednesday, the 15th, for our budget hearing. And I have been asked from capital budget to come in, but they wanted to wait until Town Hall has had a chance to go through capital requests before they set up meetings. So that one will be coming up as well soon.
Okay.
So as soon as I know when they're looking at, I will send an email out. Anyone that can make it, come and support it. You know, feel free to.
Will that be after the 15th, probably, capital?
Probably. We're gonna discuss our budget with Ways and Means on the 15th, so, it changed, there's a new chair this year for capital budget, so we used to meet, Kevin, beginning of February, right?
It was early.
Yeah, but, so. as
Just
soon
tell
as I-
Ways and Means to take us first on the 15th.
I ask every year. Last couple, we haven't been as successful, but prior to that, we have, so, I will always ask our Ways and Means Subcommittee to see if they can get us first. So, which they, I'm going to meet with them Thursday morning if anyone wants to meet with the subcommittee with me.
Is that with Doug and
It is Roger Riggs and Sonia. Doug is the, is he vice chair of Ways and Means, or is he chair? Is he the Ways chair this year?
He might be.
I forget, but he's no longer on our subcommittee because his responsibilities have been increased. So if anyone's around 9 o'clock on Thursday morning, if you want to look at your schedule and let me know, I'll send a reminder email tomorrow.
I can't make it either. I don't think any of us can make that on short notice.
I might be able to.
Okay.
We'll see.
All right.
Depends.
I'll send a reminder email tomorrow.
Okay. Date for our next meeting? Any thoughts?
You want to try to meet twice in March? I don't know, or pick one date in March, and then if we have to go again, we can back or go forward from there. If we're going to meet with Ways and Means on the 15th, the 8th is next week. I mean, we're into, so do you want to look at something in the week of the 20th?
I think that works for me. The 20th, all right with you?
Sure.
Bill?
That's a Monday?
Yeah, the 20th is a Monday,
I'm gonna be out of town.
all week. Okay.
I know it shouldn't affect
I'm
as
not
long
on the
as we
first
have,
week.
but we have nothing to, all our, we voted on everything, right?
Right, but if they say, well, you know, that's still too much for capital, we might have to make some changes.
Okay. I can do it via Zoom, right? If I'm,
I believe we allow for
that's
Zoom
what we-
participation. I'll have to see how that's, what the updated rules are on that.
If a quorum is in the room, others.
You can have a member
vote, I
from-
believe.
Yeah,
I think so, because
But
I've
I-
done it with Sculpture Park, everything's Zoom still, when we vote on stuff. I don't know if that's the
That might be
same,
going away.
yeah.
Yeah. But I think you're right. If three of us are here,
I believe that's.
anybody else can attend remotely. So, but it has to be set up.
okay, I can see. So
So
do you
everyone
want to,
okay with the 20th, with the exception of Mr. Norton, who might attend by Zoom?
Do you want to do the 13th then?
I'm not
Week
around
early?
on the 13th.
Oh, you're not around.
how about,
So the 20th is 4 out of 5. I think we'll have to go with the 20th.
Is the next week too
But
late?
again, we're not voting on anything other than maybe, I don't know, I don't think we're gonna be withdrawing warrant articles on the 20th. I really don't.
I would rather not, so,
If we're gonna do any such thing, it will be when Mr. Norton's here.
okay. We won't be meeting with Ways and Means for warrant articles until at some point in April, the 2nd,
Yeah.
9th, 16th, somewhere in there prior to town meeting being May 8th, so we would have time. So we're going to aim for March 20th. And then if we need to add another meeting, I'll look at the Zoom, what we have to do to have you attend remotely.
Okay.
Okay. I don't have anything else.
Does anyone have any specific items they wanna put on our agenda for the next meeting, other than our usual items? Okay, good. Anyone have anything else before we adjourn? Okay, Chair will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Can I make that motion?
Mr. Sullivan,
Get a trend here.
seconded by Mr. Norton. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. 5-0.
You got all the motions tonight, Kevin.